Hello, everyone. I'm Beverly Ward, and it's great to be with you today. We're going to take a look at Erikson's stage of identity versus role confusion. This is one of the most pivotal developmental tasks of the human lifespan. We'll explore it clinically, and we'll also notice where a Christian worldview naturally complements Erikson's theory, while fully honoring the theoretical integrity. Before zooming in, let's place this stage in context. Erik Erikson proposed an 8-stage psychosocial theory of human development. Each stage is defined by a crisis, which is not a catastrophe, but a crossroads. At every stage, development can tilt in a healthier or more restricted direction, depending on how well emerging needs are met through relationships, environment, culture, and internal strengths. Erikson introduced this framework in 1950, and by 1968, the model we use today was complete. 70 plus years later, it's still shaping counseling, psychology, and lifespan development. When a theory lasts this long, it usually means it's reflecting something deeply true about the human experience. From a Christian worldview, we often say that psychology discovers truth, it doesn't create it. Scripture affirms that we grow in stages, that identity is shaped in relationship, and that challenge and support refine character. Erikson described these patterns through research, and Scripture describes them through theology. Let's look now at the identity versus role confusion stage. Erikson placed this stage roughly between ages 12 and 18, though he insisted identity work continues into adulthood. So if you're still asking, who am I? Congratulations, you're developing normally. The central task in the identity versus role confusion stage is forming a coherent, stable sense of self. This identity becomes the foundation for future commitments, work, values, relationships, and purpose. Importantly, identity does not appear out of thin air. Earlier stages, trust, autonomy, initiative, competence, create the soil in which identity can grow. Adolescents begin wrestling with big questions. Who am I? Who am I becoming? What do I believe? What belongs to me versus what belongs to everyone else's expectations? Identity formation is emotional, relational, cognitive, and spiritual. What emerges becomes a scaffolding for adult life. One of Erikson's most helpful ideas is moratorium. This is a period during the identity versus role confusion stage that is a season of exploration, a trying on of roles, testing beliefs, and imagining possibilities before making firm commitments. Moratorium includes active exploration, openness to possibilities, delayed commitment, psychological breathing room. Think of it as the changing room of identity. Adolescents try things on, look in the mirror, and sometimes say, nope, that's not me. This is healthy. Erik Erikson didn't create official categories of identity, but he consistently emphasized several identity domains. And those are occupational, values and beliefs, sexual and relational identity, and belonging and group identity. Identity forms as adolescents weave these together into a sense of self that feels consistent over time. From a Christian perspective, Psalm 139 reminds us that identity isn't invented, it's discovered. It tells us that God knit us together in our mother's womb with a specific purpose in mind. God has already woven intention and a plan into each person. The crisis of this stage sits between identity and role confusion. Healthy resolution of this crisis results in fidelity, which includes the ability to commit to values and relationships, a coherent sense of self, confidence in direction and purpose. Unsuccessful resolution of the crisis leads to role confusion, often seen as uncertainty about values, difficulty making decisions, inconsistent commitments, reliance on others' expectations, and a sense of drifting. Erikson stressed that identity challenges make the next stage, intimacy versus isolation, much harder. It's difficult to share a self you don't yet fully know. But Erikson also believed identity is never finished. Life offers opportunities for repair and growth at any age. Let's look at a case example. I once worked with a 16-year-old who said, I feel like I'm made of puzzle pieces from everyone else, and I don't know what is genuinely me. He was navigating parent expectations, peer pressure, coaches, teachers, plus social media's opinion about everything. Counseling gave him a place to slow down, explore, and identify what was genuinely his. Over time, he moved from confusion to clarity and eventually took ownership. Another common picture is the high performing adolescent who looks put together on the outside but feels internally fragmented, defining identity by achievement rather than by an integrated sense of self. So, for us as clinicians, this stage invites us to create a judgment free space where exploration is safe, clarify strengths, values, and emerging beliefs, normalize uncertainty with maybe a statement letting them know you're not behind, that you're human, and figuring out who you are is a lifelong task. Integrate scripture gently, allowing adolescents to explore spiritual identity without pressure. Using reflective questions. Often adolescents know more than they can articulate without help. Identity versus role confusion is one of the most transformative stages in human development. Adolescents are asking profound questions about who they are, where they're headed, and why it matters. When given support, structure, and space, they develop an identity that is grounded, coherent, and resilient. From a Christian worldview, identity formation is not accidental, it's the uncovering of who God has already crafted. And as a future counselors, your own professional identity will be shaped by helping others find theirs. It's clinical work, yes, but also sacred work. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to your questions.